There are many mothers who have issues with breastfeeding, and it may be natural, but that certainly doesn't mean it comes naturally. And often in the beginning, especially on your first baby, there are hurdles to overcome. And the staff in the hospital is dedicated to helping women make breastfeeding successful for them and their babies if that's their goal. And there are also resources available outside of the hospital to help women who want to breastfeed but are still having issues after they've left the hospital. Like maybe you go home and you're wondering if your baby's latching properly, or you have issues with knowing if you're making enough milk or not. And so it's important to work with your pediatrician and also a lactation specialist. The pediatrician can work with the mother and the baby to make sure the baby's needs are being met, and they may recommend formula supplementation in some circumstances. And the lactation specialist can watch the baby nurse and determine if adjustments need to be made to the latch or otherwise in order for breastfeeding to be successful. In the end, the most important thing is that the baby's happy, healthy, and gaining the appropriate amount of weight. And if this can be accomplished with breastfeeding, then that's awesome. If this can be accomplished with both formula supplementation and also breastfeeding, then that's great. And there are instances when a baby needs to be exclusively formula fed. These circumstances include, but aren't limited to, times when a mother's milk isn't coming in fast enough after delivery, like a woman's body produces colostrum for the first few days after delivery, and it's packed with a punch. It's full of protein and fat and antibodies or disease-fighting properties, but there's not much of it. And so it's expected for them to lose weight after delivery until the mother's milk comes in. And then the doctor would like to see the baby back up to birth weight by about 2 weeks of age. And so sometimes the mother needs to supplement with formula a little bit in the beginning, or maybe the baby has jaundice or other medical conditions, low blood sugar where it's necessary. Other times the problem is supply, like the mother, in spite of her best efforts, just isn't able to make enough to meet the baby's needs. Or maybe she's making skim instead of whole, and the baby's just not gaining enough weight. And there are other times when a mother is on medications that can't be taken while nursing. And for all these reasons, thank goodness for formula, because it has the nutrition that a baby needs in order to grow and thrive. I have 2 children and had 2 entirely different experiences with breastfeeding. The first was difficult for many reasons, and I was only able to nurse for 2 months and had just about every complication under the sun. And in spite of my best efforts, just didn't make enough and had to give my daughter formula from 2 months till the time she turned a year. And then my second was totally different, and I was able to nurse him until he was 9 months old and self-weaned. And they're both intelligent, smart, happy, healthy kids. And so I can attest to the fact that if you're struggling with giving your baby formula, if it's been recommended by the pediatrician for your baby's well-being, and you have some guilt over it, just remember that formula-fed kids go to kindergarten too. Ultimately, if you have concerns or questions about your baby and what's best for them, talk with your pediatrician and they'll be able to give you tailored information and advice. And if that plan includes continuing with breastfeeding and you're having problems with it, then talk with a lactation specialist as well, and they'll be able to give you one-on-one suggestions and advice on how to make it successful for you and your baby. If you have more questions in the future for me, feel free to ask them on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Intermountain Moms, and recommend us to your friends and family too.